In this video I'm going to show you how to read a text file saved on the processor. Okay, and I'm going to start by creating a new class. And I'm going to call it config reader. And for simplicity I'm just going to make it as a partial class of the control system class. So I'm going to create a method called readConfig, and it's going to have a one parameter string, and that's going to be our file path, which is obviously where the file is located on the processor. And first we're going to check if the file actually exists, so I'm going to do if file exists. Okay, now I'm going to create a variable string, you can call it line, and now I'm going to create a stream reader object. I'm going to call it stream reader, and it's going to take our file path for the file, and next time I'm going to basically read through each line of the file. So while the text file contains another line, it will just go through it. So the next thing, we're going to go back to our control system class, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete the buttons where we set them in our code directly. So I'm going to delete those lines, and I'm going to enable the first 4 buttons on our smart graphics. Okay, and now I'm going to quickly create a config file. So it's literally just a simple text file, and I'm gonna add 5 lines of text, and I'm gonna call it button 1 name equals to button, let's call it smart graphics button 1, and I'm just gonna change them to correspond to each button. Okay, I'm gonna save the file quickly, and I'm gonna call it config. So now we go back to our program, and we're just going to check if the line contains our button 1. So as you can see, we're looking for the button 1 as our keyword, so then we know it's the first button. Okay, now we go back to our config file, and as you can see, I used equals as my special character to determine where our text starts that we want to use in our code. So if you go back to our program, and I'll use integer, which I'm going to call it string start, and I'm going to use line index of, and we're going to use the character, which is equals, and that will return the position of equals, so then we can use that in our code. So now we know where text starts. Now we can use that to set the text of our button. So I'm going to use user interface set text method, and I'm going to use a substring method on our line, which, as you can see, takes one argument, which is start index, so we can use that as a string start, and I'm going to do +2 because index of returns 0 index value, so obviously we know that the equals start at 0, then we got the character itself, and then we got a space there, so that's 2 characters extra. So now that's going to be where the +2 comes in, and so that will return the string that we expected. And now we're going to set it to smart graphic buttons button 1, a join number, on the ID of button list again, which is smart graphics object 1, and touch panel as we've done before. And I'm going to do the same for the first 4 buttons. Okay, and now we have to go back to our control system class, and in our initialize system I'm going to add the readConfig method. Okay, and obviously the method expects an argument, so I'm going to have to add a private string variable, and I'm going to call it underscore config file path. And now I just need to assign value to this file path variable, and I'm gonna just use user config.text. So we're gonna save our text file into the user folder on CP4, and I'm just gonna add that in. So argument, and I think that's all ready to go. I'm going to compile the program, and I'm going to load it, and we can test it. Okay, once the code is loading, I'm just going to quickly load the config file into the user folder on my CP4. So that's all loaded. Code is loading now, and it should get connected very quickly. Yeah, that's all done. And as you can see, our VTZ file works perfectly.